Access your free language gifts right now before they expire. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the Looking at the Universe Conversation Cheat Sheet. With this new conversation cheat sheet, you'll learn words like star, planet, the moon, and much more. Second, the Daily Conversations Infographic ebook. You'll learn over 100 conversational phrases with this new PDF ebook. Download it now for free. Third, 15 love phrases for Valentine's Day. If you don't know any romantic phrases, then this bonus is for you. You'll learn to say romantic phrases like "you're beautiful," "I have a crush on you," and more. Fourth, can you talk about books in your target language? Learn how to say novel, fiction, fantasy, and much more with this quick vocab bonus. And fifth, 20 must-know words and phrases for taking tests. Learn how to say pass, fail, and much more with this quick 1-minute lesson. Sixth, free audiobooks. Unlock our huge library of language learning audiobooks. Save them to any device and listen and learn. They're yours to keep forever. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to finally master the language with lessons by real teachers and our complete language learning program, take the 12-month challenge and get 12 months of Premium or Premium Plus at up to 45% off. To get your gifts and language learning resources, click the link in the description below. Download them right now before they expire. Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Okay, let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Bhavna Singh. Hi Bhavna. Bhavna says, "Hi Alicia, can you explain the difference between as soon as and no sooner than?" Okay, sure. Let's talk about as soon as first. So let's take a look at an example sentence. I'll leave the house as soon as I finish my homework. In this example sentence, we have two actions, leaving the house and finishing homework. So as soon as shows us that one action will happen once another action is completed. So in my example sentence, I'll leave the house as soon as I finish my homework means when this action is done, finishing homework, the first action will happen, leaving the house. So when we use as soon as, the first action actually happens last. I'll leave the house as soon as I finish my homework. Means that this action is the one that needs to be finished before the first action can happen. Let's compare this to no sooner than. So let's take a look at an example sentence. For example, he's going to arrive at the airport no sooner than 12 o'clock. This means that some action is going to happen, and we want to express that the action will not happen before a certain time. In this case, he's not going to arrive at the airport before 12 o'clock, but sometime after 12 o'clock is possible. So in this case, he's going to arrive at the airport no sooner than 12 o'clock expresses this idea. So as soon as is used to talk about one action happening before another action, and no sooner than refers to one action not happening until a certain point in time, or maybe until something else has finished. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Sokaina. I hope I said your name right. Hi, Sokaina. Sokaina says, "Hey, Alicia, I was watching an English movie and I heard the sentence, 'We have chemistry.' What does it mean?" Hope you answer my question. Yeah, great question. We have chemistry. This doesn't usually mean chemistry class like in school. When we're talking about chemistry between two people, it means romantic chemistry, or maybe just friendship kind of chemistry. Chemistry means that two people get along really well. They understand each other, the conversation flows easily. It's not hard to work with that person. It's not hard to talk to that person. They get along really well. We tend to use this expression a lot more in romantic relationships. When you go on a date with someone for the first time, you might say, "We had chemistry," or "We had no chemistry," meaning it was really great and we could talk easily, or it wasn't so great and we didn't really have a good flow. So this chemistry refers to how well we can interact with another person, how easy it is to talk and be friends with or to be romantic with another person. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks for the question. Okay, on to our next question. Next question comes from Llewellyn. I hope I said that right, Llewellyn. Hi, Llewellyn. Llewellyn says, hi, Alicia. What is daylight saving time? I'm very confused. My country does not have this. Great question. Yeah, in the USA, we have this thing called daylight saving time. You might also hear daylight savings time used, but this refers to changing the times on the clock twice a year. So when we want to gain an hour of time, like when the sun goes down very early in winter, there will be a day each year when everyone in the country has to set their clocks forward or back to gain or lose an hour of time. I know this probably seems really strange to you if your country doesn't have this practice or doesn't have this custom, but in the US and maybe in some other countries that use daylight savings time to try to get lots and lots of sunshine in the day, this is what happens. Everybody changes their clocks 1 hour forward or 1 hour back depending on the season. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the interesting cultural question. Okay, on to our next question. Next question comes from Weil. Hi, Weil. I hope I said your name right. Weil says, hello, Alicia. I read something like, you cannot use forget if you want to mention the place you left something. For example, don't say, I forgot my book at home. Instead say, I left my book at home. My question is, what if I really want to refer to the fact that I actually forgot my book at home? What should I say? Yeah, interesting question. I have never read this before, but no, it's completely okay to say, I forgot my book at home, or I have forgotten my book at home. It's completely correct. You can also just say, I forgot my book. That's 100% correct too. There is no problem putting a place after forget here. I left my wallet at home is also completely okay. So in this case, when you're talking about leaving or forgetting something in a location, you can use either verb, and you can also include a place with either verb as well. Both are totally fine. Don't worry about a place with forget or not. You can use either. So that's a very interesting question, but thanks for asking. Okay, let's move on to our next question. Next question comes from Anderson. Hi, Anderson. Anderson says, what does the expression, I dropped the ball mean? Great question. I dropped the ball. Okay, this is a sports kind of expression, right? So of course we can use it to mean dropping an actual ball if you're playing sports or something. But you will hear this used in business situations and work situations, maybe when you're making plans with someone. To drop the ball means to not take care of your responsibilities. So for example, your friend expected you to make a restaurant reservation for a party. You didn't do it. They might say, you dropped the ball, you were supposed to do that. So you imagine yourself as a player in a game where you have some responsibility with the ball, like to make a shot or something like that. But if you don't do it, you don't fulfill your responsibility. We express that sometimes with this expression, to drop the ball. So you didn't do something you were supposed to do. You were supposed to maybe continue making plans, or you were supposed to continue communicating with someone. You did not do it. You failed to do your responsibility. Someone might say, wow, you really dropped the ball there. So I hope that this helps answer your question. Thanks for an interesting one. All right, that is everything for this week. Thank you very much for your interesting questions, as always. Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Okay, let's get to your first question for this week. First question this week comes from Lamie. Lamie, I hope I said that right. Hi Lamie. Lamie says, hi Alicia, hope you're doing well. I'd like to know the difference between give in and give up. Thank you so much. Sure, give in versus give up. Let's start by talking about give in. So give in means to agree to something after you've been asked many, many times. So a good example of this might be a child asking for something from their parent. So they might say, I want this candy, will you buy it for me, Mom? And she says, no, no, no. And the kid says, I'll do my chores, or I'll do this, or I'll do that. And she goes, no, I don't believe you. And he keeps asking and keeps asking. Finally, she agrees. The mother in the situation agrees. We could say she gave in. So in past tense, she gave in to her son's requests. So eventually she agreed. Give in is used in other situations, but it always has this feeling of multiple requests. Someone has asked for something many, many times, and initially at the beginning we thought, no, not a good idea, or no, I don't want to do that. But after a long time, we finally say yes. So this is what give in refers to. Another situation in which you might hear this expression is in a work situation where someone is trying to pass responsibility onto you. Your coworker might say, "Don't give in to him. It's his responsibility." So that means don't allow yourself to be persuaded by that person. Make sure they take care of their own responsibilities. So this is give in. Now let's talk about give up. So to give up means to quit something, yes. But give up sounds like we tried and tried and tried and we failed maybe many times, or we struggled a lot. And eventually, over time, we decided to quit. This is the difference between quit and give up. Let's say, for example, you're training for a marathon or another big sporting event, and you've been working for a long time, but you get an injury, and then you get another injury and another injury. You might say, I have to give up for now, which means I have to quit for now. So that's that feeling of trying something many, many times, and eventually you have to give up, you have to quit. So that's the difference here. The key difference is that you tried for a while and then decided to quit. So I hope this helps you understand the differences between give up and give in. Thanks for the question. Okay, let's go to your next question. Next question comes from Ying Galao. Hi Ying. Ying says, can you say, I'll be at the office until 7 p.m. and I'll be at the office by 7 p.m.? What is the difference? Good question. So the key point here is the difference between until and by. Let's look at I'll be at the office until 7 p.m. first. This means starting from some point before 7 p.m. and continuing until the deadline point. We can imagine 7 p.m. is our deadline point. The speaker will be at the office. So at 7 p.m., something will change. We can imagine the speaker is going to leave the office at 7 p.m. In contrast, on the other hand, by 7 p.m., I'll be at the office by 7 p.m. also marks 7 p.m. as the deadline point. However, it sounds like the speaker is not at the office. They're saying, at some point before, but not later than 7 p.m., I will come to the office. So this is the difference here. I'll be at the office until 7 p.m. marks the point at which the speaker will leave. I'll be at the office by 7 p.m. marks the deadline point for when the speaker is going to come to the office. So, key difference here. Very important to understand the differences. Check out the video on the English Class 101 YouTube channel that covers the differences between until and by to learn more about this point. I hope that that helps you. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question is from Avi Ard. Hi, Avi. Avi says, hello, Alicia. My question is, what does okay boomer mean? Okay, great question. Okay boomer is something you see on the internet a lot, and you might hear it in everyday life too. Okay, of course, means yes, or I understand, or right. But the key here is boomer. So boomer refers to a person of a certain generation in the United States. So a person who is a boomer is a person who was born during the baby boom of the United States. This means during a period in like about the 1950s and maybe, depending on who you ask, a little bit later, when lots and lots of babies were being born. We refer to this period as the baby boom or as a baby boom. So a person who is now older, was born in that time period and is now older, is referred to by some people as a boomer. So that's the generation that they come from, the baby boom generation. Some people consider boomers, people from this generation, to have very different opinions or to have very contradicting opinions to young people from today. So one way that some people like to kind of dismiss other people's opinions from the boomer generation is with this expression, okay boomer. It has that kind of very condescending feel, like you're looking down on that person. So if you hear somebody say okay boomer, it means they heard that person, that older person's opinion, and they disagree with it, and they're just kind of putting that person off to the side. Let's say, for example, you're in a conversation with a boomer, a person from this generation, and a younger person from maybe the millennial generation or younger. And the millennial person, the younger person, is very accustomed to changing jobs or maybe working freelance, or they have a certain work style they're accustomed to. And they're talking about how difficult it is to work and earn money in today's economic climate. The boomer, however, being from a different generation, might make a comment about securing a job, like a full-time position in a big company, for example, which was perhaps the normal thing to do many years ago. So they might say something like, why don't you just get a full-time job, a stable job at a regular company, something like that. In some cases, the younger person might feel offended by this kind of comment and say, okay, boomer, which really means you don't understand my situation at all, or this is an outdated idea that you're expressing to me right now. So okay, boomer is used in this kind of impolite way to dismiss the opinions of older people. And it's often used actually not just with boomers, but with people who are older than the speaker too. So I hope this gives you a good introduction to what this expression means. It relates to different generations and a dismissal of older people's opinions by younger generations. So thanks very much for an interesting question. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Next question comes from Erica. Hi, Erica. Erica says, what's the difference between sorted and ready? Great question. Sorted is used in British English. Ready is used in American English. When we say that's sorted in British English, it means like that's finished or that's taken care of. When we say ready in American English, we don't say that's ready. We usually say I'm ready. So we don't use sorted in the same way as it's used in British English. British English uses it to mean like something is taken care of, like preparations are done. In this way, we can use sorted, but we do not use sorted in this way in American English. Something that is sorted is something that has been organized, like according to color or size, perhaps. We don't use it as an adjective in American English. We use ready to talk about being prepared for something or to talk about something that is complete. Like, oh, dinner's ready. We would not say dinner's sorted in American English. You might hear something like that in British English, though. So I hope that this helps you understand the differences. Thanks for this question. Okay, on to our next question. Next question comes from Carla D. Hi, Carla. Carla says, hi, Alicia. What does fangirling mean? Great question. Fangirling, or you might also sometimes hear fanboying, refers to being super, super excited, super enthusiastic about your favorite celebrity. This can be any kind of celebrity, a musician, actor, actress, an artist, whatever it is. You are so excited about that person or that group that you scream maybe, you have posters of them, you buy all their merchandise, you wear their t-shirts, you talk about them, you have pictures of them on your social media, whatever. It means to go super, super crazy for your favorite celebrity or your favorite artist or whatever that is. So you might say something like, oh my gosh, sorry I missed your message. I was fangirling about this person. So it's kind of like an expression of really, really excited like passion for some kind of celebrity, usually. So you might also hear people say fanboying. I feel like fangirling is used a little bit more, but you can say he's a fanboy of such and such artist. You can say that as well. You can use it as a noun, like a fanboy or a fangirl. That means that someone is a super fan of a certain celebrity. So this is what it means. To fangirl or to fanboy means to be super, super enthusiastic and excited about an artist of some kind. Really interesting question. Thanks very much. All right, that is everything for this week. Thank you, as always, for sending your great questions. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from April. Hi, April. April says, hi, Alicia. Where can I use literally and basically? I think native English speakers use these a lot. Thank you. Great question. Yeah, literally and basically. Let's start with literally. So the actual meaning of literally means as written or exactly as described. A lot of American English speakers tend to use literally too much, and actually they use it in the incorrect way. For example, you might hear it in a sentence like, I'm so hungry, I'm literally dying. So in text, this expression means the person is physically dying. They are passing away because they are so hungry. Now, that's not true. That's not literally true. But the person uses literally as an emphasis word to try to express the extreme feeling they're experiencing. So you might hear it used in some ways like this. People tend to use it in this way as an emphasis word, but that doesn't mean that this use of literally is correct. It's not actually correct. A correct use of literally might be something like, I'm so sorry I missed your call. I literally just walked in the door and I put my phone down. I'm so sorry about that. So you're expressing something that actually, really, and truly just happened. So this is the correct use of literally. So even though we all know that this is the correct use of literally, please be on the lookout. Please be aware lots of native speakers use it just as an emphasis word without thinking about it. Okay, now let's talk about basically. Basically means in essence, so it refers to the most basic of something. So when we want to speak kind of generally, or we want to talk about like the core idea of something, we'll use basically. For example, in an office meeting where you're explaining something that you want someone else to do, you might say, basically, we just need your help doing data entry for this project. So that gives the other person a kind of general idea. Again, you might hear native speakers using this in a kind of flexible way when they sort of mean generally, but they're using basically instead. So we use it in most cases to refer to the core idea of something. One use that might be a little bit confusing is when you hear this used as a one-word response to something. So someone might use this in response to a question like, so you were out all weekend partying? And the other person might say, basically, which means yes, essentially, or in other words, that's the core of what I was doing for the week. So this is another use of basically that also has that feel of kind of general knowledge or general information. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for an interesting question. All right, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Vishal Deswal. Hi, Vishal. Vishal says, what is the difference between reason and cause, and where do I use it? Nice question. So let's start with reason. The reason for something you can think of as the why for something. It answers the question why. What is the reason could be understood as why. So instead of saying, what's the reason for this mess in my house? You could say, why is there a mess in this house? Think about reason, the reason for something, as answering the question why. Cause, on the other hand, refers to something that brought about another situation. So there are some cases, yes, where reason and cause could be used maybe in the same way, but cause refers to something that made another action happen or another condition happen. So for example, the cause of the accident was a technical error. This could, I suppose, be written as the reason for the accident was a technical error. While that's correct and we can generally understand it, using the word cause shows that it brought about some other condition or some kind of effect, yeah? So if you say the cause of the accident was a technical error, it shows a better connection between some effect in the future or some effect in the present. Reason doesn't have this. So you can kind of try to separate those two a little bit with thinking of a reason as the answer to the question why, and a cause as having some connection to another effect or another condition. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, let's go to your next question. Next question comes from Joanna. Hi, Joanna. Joanna says, when do we use the words cash and money? Great question, yeah. Cash can be used in a couple of different ways. We tend to use cash when we want to talk about physical money in general everyday conversation. Like if you need to get some money from an ATM, you might say, let me get some cash from an ATM. We tend to use cash to talk about coins and bills, the physical money. You might also hear people use cash to talk more casually about money. Like, oh no, I'm out of cash this month. I need to work really hard for next month. month or something like that. Cash tends to be used as kind of a rougher, more casual, cool way of saying money. Money tends to sound a little bit more polite or more formal. We typically don't use cash in business situations, for example, unless maybe you know the other person very well, or maybe there's some kind of special arrangement where you speak very casually. So money refers to the same thing as cash, yes, but we tend to not use it as much in everyday conversation. You might hear it in like contracts, discussions of contracts, discussions of agreements, more polite or official kinds of things. So you might say, for example, please transfer the money by tomorrow. If you say, please transfer the cash by tomorrow, it sounds a little bit rougher, like you're doing something that might be kind of suspicious, perhaps. So it depends a little bit on the person, it depends a little bit on the situation. They refer to the same thing, but a general guide, a general rule is that money is used as for slightly more official or polite situations, and cash is used for more unofficial or everyday or rough conversation. So thanks for the question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Rachel. Hi, Rachel. Rachel says, hi, Alicia. I frequently hear the phrase, let alone, but I don't exactly understand when I can use it. For example, I wouldn't speak to him, let alone trust him. Nice question. Yeah, I wouldn't speak to him, let alone trust him. Let alone shows that there's this other level of thing that you would not do. So for example, in this situation, if we think of it as two levels, I wouldn't speak to him. So that's one thing. The speaker is saying, I will not do this. Like in a future situation, if I had the opportunity, I would not do this. I wouldn't speak to him. And then they introduce this other level of something. In this case, trust. So trust is another like higher level of something. And they're saying this is also impossible. So it's like saying this thing at this lower level is something I will not do, or in this case, I wouldn't do. And so therefore, this other thing is also completely impossible. We use let alone to talk about that. For example, in another situation, you could say, he doesn't exercise at all, let alone eat healthy. So that's saying, again, two levels of things. There's one thing this person doesn't do, and therefore this other thing is also completely impossible or completely out of the question. Let alone expresses that. So keep this in mind when you find let alone in your reading. The speaker or the writer is expressing that one thing is not possible or maybe not good or not favorable, and therefore this other thing is also even more impossible or even more out of the question. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the interesting question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Emma. Hi, Emma. Emma says, hi, Alicia. I'm wondering which tense I should use when making reported speech sentences. For example, 1. I promised my son that I would buy his favorite Legos for his birthday. 2. I promised my son that I will buy his favorite Legos for his birthday. I heard that in reported speech we have to match verb tense in a sentence. In this case, even though his birthday is next month, should I use would instead of will, even though it hasn't happened yet? Thanks. Yeah, great question. The correct answer here is would. I promised my son that I would buy him his favorite Lego set for his birthday. The reason is because this is still an untrue situation, right? Yes, we use will to talk about our future plans, but in this case, when you're reporting speech, we don't use will in this way. We stick with would. I promised my son that I would do this thing. You can use this exact same idea with other future tense situations, like I promised my friends that I would meet them for a barbecue this weekend, or I told my parents that I would be home in time for dinner. We do not use will in situations like this. If it helps you, you can think of the situation as being an unreal situation. It's like a promise you made, it hasn't happened yet, so that's why we don't use will here. We need to use would in patterns like these. So yes, in your example sentence, definitely use would, and use would in sentences like these in the future. I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for an interesting question. Okay, that is everything that I have for this week. Thank you, as always, for sending your great questions. Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Tasneem Meme. Hi Tasneem. Tasneem says, what are the differences between to show and to display? Nice question. Okay, to show and to display. Let's start with to show. We use to show when we want to give visual information to someone else. So for example, you have something on your phone and you want to share it with someone else, you can say, hey, let me show this to you. It's on my phone. Or when you want to give someone physical information on a piece of paper, you could say, let me show you this information. So the idea with show is that you're giving someone visual information. You're providing them with something on a piece of paper or on your phone, whatever. You want to share that with them. We use show to express that. To display, however, refers in most cases to putting something, for example, on a sign or on a billboard or on some other kind of like announcement board where people can look at it. But there's not one person going around showing each person the information, right? To display something means simply to put something out for people to look at. For example, you probably see lots of mannequins, so those bodies of people in front of store windows that are wearing the clothes on sale in the store. We could say the clothes are on display, or the store is displaying their clothes in the window. So we would not say show in that case, rather the clothes are being displayed. So it's not that there's a salesperson that's there in front of the store saying, look at this or look at that. Maybe when you go inside the store, the salesperson will show you some clothes, yes, but that's a key difference here between show and display. When someone is giving you something to look at and says, what do you think, that kind of thing, we can understand that as them showing us something. Display just refers to something being available for you to look at, to read, to check, whatever. So I hope that this helps you understand the differences between show and display. Thanks very much for an interesting question. Okay, let's go to our next question. Next question comes from Zakaria. Hi, Zakaria. Zakaria says, hey, Alicia, I'm from Morocco. I enjoy following your channel. I want to know the difference between sympathy and empathy. Thank you. Sure, great question. Sympathy and empathy, very, very closely related. Sympathy means that you and another person have had similar experiences and you understand their experience. So for example, let's imagine you have had the experience of losing a loved one, like a loved one, someone you care about has passed away. And your friend recently also lost a loved one, someone that they care about. You can say that you experience sympathy. You have had the same experience, and so you understand each other's emotions a little bit. We call that sympathy. Empathy, on the other hand, is when one person has had an experience, but another person has not had that experience. Regardless, you can at least imagine the things that the other people are going through. So, for example, if I maybe lost my job or something like that, something negative happened to me, and my friend has not had that experience, but they want to try to comfort me, we could describe that feeling as empathy. So although they cannot understand what I'm experiencing, they are at least trying to be supportive, or they're trying to show that they want to comfort me or help in some way. So they're trying to understand that experience that I'm having and trying to be supportive. That is empathy. So that's the difference here. When two people or more have the same shared experience or similar experience, it's sympathy. We refer to that as sympathy. When one person has an experience and the other person does not have that experience, but they try to understand one another, that's empathy. So for example, if someone passes away, you might write a message that says, "You have my sympathies." Or with empathy, we might use it in a verb form a little bit more often than as a noun. So you might see something like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds like a terrible experience. I haven't had that experience, but I can at least try to empathize with you." So that means I can try to understand what you're going through. So I hope that this helps you understand the differences between sympathy and empathy. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Monica. Hi, Monica. Monica says, "Hi, Alicia. Amend versus adjust. What is the difference?" Very nice question. Amend versus adjust. There's a very simple and easy way to understand the difference here. Amend means to add something on to something that already existed, like a contract. So if you have a contract in this example and you decide later, I need to add something to this contract, you describe that with amend. For example, I amended my contract, or we amended the agreement, or let's amend our meeting notes. So when you want to add something in an official way, you use the verb amend to do that. To amend something means to add something after the fact, usually in an official way. You might also hear this verb used when you're talking about fixing relationships with someone. Like you might hear the expression to make amends with someone. That means you fix a relationship with someone after you have a fight or a disagreement. So you might hear it in this way too. To make amends is usually the expression it's used in. Okay, now let's compare this verb use of amend to adjust. To adjust something means to make a change to something. So again, just as with the agreement or the contract we talked about before, if you finish the agreement or you finish the contract and later you realize, oh, we need to make a change, you can say, I need to adjust, or I adjusted my contract. This means you did not add something new. Maybe you changed some words or you made a slightly different agreement. You can use adjust to talk about that. Again, we tend to use adjust in a little bit more formal or polite situations. So a contract or agreement discussion would be a perfect situation for this. So that is the key difference. Amend means to add something new to something that you already had, and to adjust means to make a change to something that you already had. So I hope this helps you. Thanks for the question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Hovhannes from Armenia. Hello, Hovhannes. Hovhannes says, hi, Alicia. What's the difference between figure out and find out? Okay, figure out versus find out. Let's talk about figure out first. To figure out means to discover something or to solve something, like a puzzle or maybe a crime or some kind of difficult situation. You figured out a secret, maybe. So a good example of this is like a crime or a police TV show where they have to solve a mystery, right? So they do lots of research, they talk to people, they do interviews, and maybe at the end of the show, they figure out the person who did it. They find the criminal. So to figure something out refers to doing research and working really hard to discover something new. To find out, on the other hand, generally doesn't have this feeling of solving a puzzle. Yes, you can use it when you're referring to doing lots of work or doing lots of research about something. For example, a kid might say, my parents found out I left the house last night. I'm in such big trouble. So found out is the past tense of find out. It also means discover, but it doesn't have that feeling of doing lots of research or doing lots of work or trying to solve something for a long time. It could be just that a person realized something in a moment, or it could be that just over a few interactions they realized something on their own. It doesn't have that same feeling of trying to solve a situation as figure out. So maybe that's kind of a good guide. Like you can use figure out when you want to emphasize really trying to solve something like a puzzle or a mystery, and find out is kind of more like realizing something quickly in a moment, or just because somebody maybe told a lie or something like that. So I hope that this helps you understand the differences between figure out and find out. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Andres Leiva. Hello, Andres. Andres says, hi, Alicia. Greetings from Mexico City. I have heard in songs phrases like the most loneliest day and bestest person. Is this correct? Also, is this a common thing to use in English? Thanks. Great question. Yeah, these are grammatically incorrect, yes, but we love to use these kinds of expressions because it sounds sort of cute. For example, when you said like the most bestest person, when we use these grammatically incorrect statements, it sounds sort of cute, like a little kid that's still trying to study English or they're still learning the correct way to use English. When we use these grammatically incorrect forms on purpose, we do it to seem a little bit more childlike, a little more fun, to show that we have a close and happy and fun relationship with the other person. When you use something like the most loneliest day, it also has that feeling of kind of cute, but in this case, because it's sad, they might be trying to give a sense of innocence, perhaps. I'm not exactly sure what the context was for this quote, but that could be one of the reasons that they chose to use this grammatically incorrect pattern. If you want to use this, you totally can, but it is kind of used in some set phrases, like the most bestest is a great example of this. When you really want to emphasize that something is really great, or maybe not so great, I suppose, you can intentionally use incorrect grammar. So in those cases, that means you use most plus a long adjective plus s, like the most beautifulest, for example. It sounds really silly and it's grammatically correct, but someone might use that as a way to emphasize something and to show that they're kind of casual and childlike. So I hope that this answers your question. Thanks for an interesting one. Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Eliab. Hello, Eliab. Eliab says, "Hi, Alicia. I love your videos. I was watching a series and they said these things. I can read him, and you're reading into that. What do they mean? Thanks." Nice question. Yeah, first let's start with I can read him. So the question here, I think, is about the verb read, right? We usually use read for books and newspapers, right? Words on a page. But we can also use read for people or maybe even buildings if you work in a certain profession. But when we talk about being able to read a person, it means we understand something about that person based on maybe how they're dressed, how they speak, the way that they move. When you can read someone, it means that that person is communicating something to you, not just through the words that they're saying, right? So that's the idea here, that that person is giving you some information about themselves and you are able to read that. So that's what this means, this I can read him. So you can use this as well. Like you could say like, oh my gosh, I can read that guy like a book. He's trying to talk to that girl across the room, for example. So that means that that person is communicating something and you are able to read it as if that person were a book. You can kind of think of it that way. Okay, let's talk now about that other use of read that you described. You're reading into this. This use of read means that you are finding too much detail in this situation or in this comment. In other words, your understanding something or your understanding of the situation is beyond what is happening here. Here's an example situation you might find at work. So maybe you come to a contract discussion with your company and they make an offer and you're not so happy about the offer, but you think about it for a long time. You think about it so much and you start to think, is the company valuing me? Do they care about me? You start to think all of these kind of intense thoughts and maybe you go beyond what the company is actually saying. So your friend or someone else might say to you, I think you're reading too much into this, which means you are reading more information from the situation than is actually there. Like you are looking for too much detail or you're thinking too much about the situation. That's what this reading too much into something means. Like you're thinking too much about the situation or you're thinking too deeply about the situation. Just think about the information you have in front of you. So I hope that this helps clear up your understanding about these two uses of read. It's a really interesting verb. Thanks for the question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Conan. Hi, Conan. Conan says, hello, may I ask the difference between in my 20s and at the age of 20? Thank you so much. Sure. In my 20s versus at the age of 20. You can also do this for something like in my 30s and at the age of 30 and so on. In my 20s means from the year 20 until the year 29. So your 20s refers to the years in which you are 20-something, 21, 22, 23, in my 20s. So for example, I was so crazy when I was in my 20s, or I did so much studying when I was in my 20s. It refers to that time period of your life. Before 20s, you can say in my teens, but that specifically refers to like 13 through 19. So generally we use this for in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s, in my 50s, those kinds of numbers. In contrast, at the age of 20 refers to something that happened only in the year in which you were 20 years old. It doesn't refer to 21, 22, 23, all those other years. It refers to 1 year only. So at the age of 20, I was a university student. Or at the age of 20, I had 2 part-time jobs. That refers to that year only. So in my 20s refers to a whole group of years. At the age of 20 refers to just 1 year. So you can use different years as you see fit. I hope that this helps you. Thanks for the question. Okay, let's go to our next question. Next question comes from Hemam Mohammed. Hello, Hemam. Hemam says, hi, Alicia. Thrown in this sentence. I am really just thrown by the place. It's not what I expected at all. What does it mean? Great question. To be thrown by something means to be surprised or to be confused or to encounter something unexpected. So in this sentence, I was really thrown by the place. It means I was confused or I was surprised or there was something kind of strange about it that I didn't expect. You can also use this in conversations. Like if someone says something really surprising to you, like, hey, did you know that I'm leaving the company tomorrow? You might go, whoa, I was really thrown by that. I had no idea. So it's like someone kind of shakes you or maybe throws you across the room and you feel confused or suddenly like kind of startled or surprised. So that's kind of the feeling here. You might feel shocked or maybe like, I don't know what to do. Your mind is kind of upset by something in some way. So we tend to use this in a way that shows surprise, shock, or confusion. So this is how we use thrown in this way. I was really thrown by that, or I was really thrown by her comment. It expresses that confusion, surprise, something unexpected happening. Thanks for a great question. Okay, let's go to our next question. Next question comes from Alina. Hello, Alina. Alina says, what is the difference between scare and intimidate? Nice question. Let's talk about scare first. To scare someone or to scare something, like maybe an animal, means to cause that person to feel fear. Like I scared my little brother or I scared the cat. I feel so bad about it. You caused someone else to feel fear. To intimidate someone is kind of like scaring them a little bit, but you're not causing them to feel fear. When you intimidate someone, you are showing them your power. So maybe you could say, my coworkers tried to intimidate me at work the other day. So you're trying to express your power to someone else. When you intimidate someone, it's generally not seen as a positive thing. You're trying to make someone feel lower than you. So when you intimidate someone at work, you are trying to maybe make your own power seem higher, which is generally not seen as a very healthy kind of thing to do. So to intimidate someone might mean to scare them as well. If someone is trying to intimidate you, yes, they may also scare you, like they may threaten you, or they may say mean things, or they may bully you, and so on. But the objective of intimidation is to find some kind of power, to get some kind of power over you. So this is the difference between scare and intimidate. I hope that this answers your question. Thanks for an interesting one. Okay, let's move on to our next question. Next question comes from Ali Ahmad Khan. Hello, Ali. Ali says, hi, Alicia. Could you tell me the difference between these examples? How I Met Your Mother and How Did I Meet Your Mother? I'm confused about these examples. Great question. Okay, this is actually the name of a very popular TV series in the US. Maybe that's what your question is from. So, How I Met Your Mother. This is a statement, right? How I Met Your Mother. This is how I met your mother. The way in which, or the manner in which I met your mother. How did I meet your mother is a question. How did I meet your mother? Or how did I meet that guy? I forgot. How did I do something refers to a question pattern. So how did I do something? These kinds of patterns are like questions you ask yourself, like how did I do that? What did I do? Or how did I meet that guy? I forget. Or how did I meet your mother in this case? It's asking yourself a question. That's the idea with this kind of sentence pattern. How I met your mother or how I did that is the beginning of an explanation for something. So this is how I met your mother, or this is how I did that. So that's the difference here. With one, you're explaining something, you're sharing some information. With the other pattern, you're asking yourself a question about the manner in which you did something. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the question. Do you feel like you don't speak enough English? That you need to know more words? Then stick around. With these lessons, you'll pick up some of the most common words in just a few minutes. Now, this video is a small portion of our learning program. To get the full lessons, translations, and Fluency Fast study tools, click the link in the description and sign up for your free lifetime account. Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. In this lesson, you'll learn conversational phrases to use when talking with friends. After watching this video, you'll be able to have a casual conversation with a friend, and to say something is super. Now, let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue. Hey, look at that car. Wow, that's super cool. Listen to it again. Hey, look at that car. Hey, look at that car. Wow, that's super cool. Wow, that's super cool. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, Hey, look at that car. That's, Hey, look at that car. Listen to it again. Hey, look at that car. Hey, look at that car. Now, how do you respond to this? First of all, you'll need to learn how to say wow. That's wow. Wow. Then you'll need to learn how to say that's super adjective. The pattern is that's super adjective. That's super adjective. For example, that's super cool. That's super cool. That's super cool. Here are a few more words you can use with the same pattern to talk about something. Cool, 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 cool. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. New, 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 new. Nice, 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 nice. Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers. Hey, look at that car. That's super beautiful. Hey, look at that car. Hey, look at that car. That's super beautiful. That's super beautiful. Hey, look at that car. That's super new. Hey, look at that car. Hey, look at that car. That's super new. That's super new. Hey, look at that car. That's super nice. Hey, look at that car. Hey, look at that car. That's super nice. That's super nice. Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, Hey, look at that car? Hey, look at that car. Imagine you want to say something is super beautiful. Do you remember how to say beautiful? Beautiful. Beautiful. Say, That's super beautiful. That's super beautiful. Now respond using beautiful. Hey, look at that car. That's super beautiful. Now imagine you want to say something is super new. Do you remember how to say new? New. New. Say, That's super new. That's super new. Now respond using new. Hey, look at that car. That's super new. Now imagine you want to say something is super nice. Do you remember how to say nice? Nice. Nice. Say, that's super nice. That's super nice. Now respond using nice. Hey, look at that car. That's super nice.
In this lesson, you learned new vocabulary and phrases you can use to talk with friends. You're now able to have a casual conversation like a native speaker. Start by practicing in the comments below. Tell me and your fellow learners what you think is super cool. Lastly, don't forget to click the link in the description and download your PDF cheat sheets. You'll get useful phrases you need for everyday life for free. See you in the next lesson. Bye! Remember, here's what you can do to learn all of these words by heart. Drill these words with our spaced repetition flashcards, which will help cement these words into your long-term memory. Save them to the word bank, your personal vocabulary collection, where you can print out your own study sheets, or review the words with our looped vocabulary slideshow, and play it until you know all of the words. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to get these lessons and study tools. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about some vocabulary you can use to talk about common household tasks or chores in English. Let's get started. First, I want to look at this part of the board. I've tried to draw a picture to help with this vocabulary word. The first one is make the bed. Make the bed. In this lesson, I'm going to introduce a few vocabulary words that use do and make. This first one is make. To make the bed means to move your bed from this like messy state. So the blanket is messy or the pillow is somewhat like off its position. We take it from this position to the proper position. So your blanket and your pillow are perfectly laid out. Like the pillow is at the top of your bed, your blanket is covering your bed. This process is called to make the bed. We call this making the bed in English. So we're not actually creating a bed, no, but we're making a nice bed space. That's kind of how we think of it. We make the bed. The second expression is do the laundry. Do the laundry. So to do the laundry means wash clothes, but we usually say to do the laundry. I need to do the laundry. So doing the laundry can mean using a washing machine, like just to put soap on clothes and use water with that. It can also refer to using a dryer to dry the clothes after. So sometimes people want to be specific, like I want to do the laundry, I'm going to use the washer and dryer. I guess you could, but in most cases we just say I'm going to do the laundry. The third expression is to do or wash the dishes. So to do the dishes or to wash the dishes means to clean the dishes, but we typically use either do or wash. So this can be with a sponge, it could be with a dishwasher, whatever. It means to make your dishes clean. So to do the dishes or to wash the dishes. The next three are very similar in appearance. They're common tasks. The first one is to vacuum, to vacuum. So this might be a little bit old-fashioned looking, but this is actually called a vacuum. This is a vacuum, a noun, and we, use it to pick up using electricity dirt and small things on the ground or on the floor, in our carpets in our house. So to vacuum is to use this machine or another similar machine, an electrical machine that uses air to pull up crumbs and other small things from our floors. To vacuum, and this is called a vacuum. This, however, when we use this tool, this is called sweeping, or to sweep, to sweep. This is the verb we use. The tool is called a broom, and we typically use a broom with a dustpan, So vacuums are electrical, broom and dustpan analog, not electrical. So we sweep. This motion of using a broom, so this motion is called sweeping, to sweep. I'm going to sweep my floors. I will use a dustpan and I will sweep the dirt into the dustpan. Those are the kinds of verbs we would use to describe that action of using a broom and dustpan together. Sweep crumbs or sweep dirt into a dustpan. Finally, the third one here is mop, to mop, and this object, this item, is called a mop. So this is pretty much like a broom, but we use water. So a water bucket and some soap is typically paired with a mop, So we mop floors. We use it as a verb and as a noun, to mop the floor. I need to mop the floor. Let's look at the next group. The next group is dust, or the first one at the top is dust. To dust refers to using a piece of cloth. So for example, like this is a tissue, but usually we use a towel. It could be a paper towel, it could be cloth, to remove dust from the tops of things, or from like small spaces where dust gathers. So dust is like tiny, tiny, fine pieces of dirt or other things in your house. So to remove them, we use cloth in this motion and maybe some kind of cleaning agent, some kind of chemical perhaps. So we use to dust as the verb to describe that. And dust is the name of that small, fine dirt. So we dust in order to remove dust. So we dust as a verb in order to remove dust, noun. So to dust is that motion. The next expression is to clean the windows or to wash the windows. To clean the windows or to wash the windows. Either verb is fine. They communicate the same idea, using some kind of cloth and some kind of cleaner to make the windows clear, to make the windows clean. We can use clean the windows or wash the windows for this motion. The next verb is scrub, We use this verb in a few different places very commonly, like scrub the sink, scrub the floor, or scrub the toilet. So to scrub refers to a very hard cleaning motion. So we use this when we want to make something very, very clean. We use a sponge or we use some other like very scratchy, rough material to clean something, and it takes some effort. We use the verb to scrub to talk about that. Of course, you can use this verb outside of cleaning as well. So to scrub something off of something else. So when cleaning, we say, I'm going to scrub the floor, or maybe with a brush, I'm going to scrub the toilet. We use scrub to talk about this rough cleaning motion. The next verb is bleach, to bleach. So bleach is a chemical. It comes usually in a bottle like this. To bleach something means to make something white, usually to make something white again, like when our clothes are white and we want to keep them white, we might bleach our clothes. So I need to bleach this shirt, I got a stain on it. Or I bleached my curtains. So to bleach something means to use the chemical bleach to make something white, or we might use bleach again for like extra special cleaning, like there's something extremely messy or something that we really need to pay attention to, we might use bleach to clean it. So to bleach is the verb that we use. The next expression is to hang the laundry or to dry the laundry. To hang the laundry or to dry the laundry. You might hear both. To hang, perhaps you can see in this image, we use something like this. This is called a hanger. We place our clothes, in this case a shirt, on a hanger to hang up and dry. So to hang the laundry is specifically on this or on something similar, maybe using clips. And dry the laundry generally just means allowing the laundry to become dry. So to hang specifically to put it up. Sometimes you dry laundry flat as well, like you lay a sweater down flat. So to dry a shirt flat, you can use that too. So to dry the laundry or to hang the laundry. Next on this list is fold clothes, to fold clothes. So after the laundry is dry, after the laundry is ready, we typically fold clothes. So this is folding, this motion, whatever motion you use, to make the clothes easy to store. So to fold clothes. We don't really use fold the laundry. I guess you could fold the laundry. I use fold clothes more often than fold laundry, but you could use that if you want to. I feel like I use fold clothes more often, but fold laundry, I suppose, is okay too. Fold clothes. So to fold clothes is one of my least favorite tasks, I think. Okay, almost finished here. The next one is to take out the trash or to take out the garbage. To take out the trash or take out the garbage. Trash and garbage here, they mean the same thing. You might also hear rubbish in British English. To take out the trash or to take out the garbage. So this means removing trash from your home and putting the trash, in some cases, into a trash bin or a garbage bin or a dumpster, which is a very, very big garbage bin, in your neighborhood. Or perhaps you have something similar, but this refers to removing the trash from your home, to take out the trash or to take out the garbage. Finally, this expression, to clean out, to clean out. So we use to clean out commonly with to clean out the refrigerator or to clean out the closet. So to clean is a little bit different from clean out because clean out is used when maybe we have lots of things inside our refrigerator or our closet that are kind of old. So we have many old things and we need to remove them. We want to throw away some old things. In that case, we use clean out. Like I cleaned out my refrigerator last week. So that means I removed some maybe old things from my refrigerator. And I cleaned my refrigerator too. So usually they're done at the same time. So you remove old things from inside and then you make the space clean. Same thing for the closet. Like you remove some old clothes or some old things you want to throw away and then you make the closet space clean. So we use to clean out to refer to this. Okay. So this is a list of some very common household tasks. So I hope that these are verbs that you can use in your everyday life to talk about basic things you need to do in your home. Maybe a good way to study these kinds of words is to think about these words and describe them to yourself as you are doing them in your home. So as you're making plans to do these things in your home, maybe consider thinking about them or even saying them out loud in English to help you with your studies. So I hope that this lesson was helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments, or if there's another household task you know how to describe in English, please feel free to include any of that in the comment section. Of course, if you liked this lesson, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about expressions you can use with the doctor. These are some expressions that you can use when you need to visit the doctor and explain a problem with your body, or maybe explain something that happened to someone else. Let's get started. Okay, the first expression is a very basic expression. My body part hurts. My body part hurts. Sometimes I hear learners use a pattern like I have a pain in my body part, but this one is much more natural. So examples of this might be things like my head hurts or my stomach hurts. So using hurt, that kind of expresses a very basic type of pain. So this is probably the quickest and easiest way to explain that a specific body part does not feel good. So you can use any body part. My leg hurts, my nose hurts, my ears hurt. So just keep in mind, if you're using the plural form of a noun, as I just did with ears, you don't need to put an S at the end of hurt. So my head hurts, head is singular, but my ears hurt. So ears, that's two, ears hurt. So please keep that in mind when you're using this pattern. My body part hurts. The next pattern is there's a spot on my body part. So here a couple of points. This there's is there is, there is. There's a spot on my body part. Spot refers to something that's new, usually. We go to the doctor for something new, and it's usually something that's like a dark color. So we use the word spot to talk about that. You could say dark spot. For example, with this pattern, there's a spot on my leg, or there's a spot on my neck. So include the part of your body where you notice the new spot. We can use the word spot to describe that kind of shape. So it's usually a circular shape, a spot. There's a spot on my body part. Okay, the next pattern is I think I broke my body part. I think I broke my body part. This is a pattern we use specifically for cases where we think, in this case, we think we broke a bone, a bone. So we don't use this to talk about pain necessarily. We use this to talk specifically about a bone in our body being broken. So I think I broke my body part. The body part you use here should be a body part with a bone. So, for example, with this pattern, I think I broke my arm. I think I broke my finger. So we would not say, for example, I think I broke my stomach, because there are no bones in the stomach. We use parts of the body which have bones in these patterns. I think I broke my arm. I think I broke my leg. I think you broke my nose. So you can use different parts of the body with bones in this pattern. And you can use I think to express kind of your guess. I've included this here just to explain maybe quickly what your gut feeling is. So your gut feeling means your instinct, the first thing that you think of. So if you want to say your guess for some reason to your doctor, you can say, I think I broke my finger. I think I broke my arm. Okay, let's look at the next pattern. The next pattern, I have two verbs here. I have I fell down, past tense, or I crashed. And then we include a sport or an activity in the ing form. So, for example, I fell down skateboarding, or I crashed snowboarding. So what's the difference between fell down and crashed? So to fall down, it sounds much lighter than crashed. So to fall down is like we're doing something that's a typical action and we maybe make a mistake when we're walking and our body falls. So I fell down the stairs perhaps, or I fell down because I stood up too quickly. So I fell down skateboarding. It might depend on your level of skateboarding, but to fall down sounds kind of light, not so serious, but it could be serious depending on the situation. Crash, however, sounds quite strong, quite intense. I crashed snowboarding. It sounds like your whole body was maybe very violently moved or tossed in some way. I crashed snowboarding. So this is the same verb we use for car accidents, like car crashes. So your body, you imagine your body crashed maybe into something like the ground or into another object. I crashed snowboarding. So you can use this pattern to explain the reason for your pain or the reason for your injury. For example, I think I broke my arm. I crashed snowboarding. So that might be a way to describe to your doctor what happened. So why do you think your arm is broken? Because I crashed snowboarding. Okay, let's continue on to the next pattern. The next pattern is person was in a car accident. Person was in a car accident. So here, you can use yourself if you need to, like I was in a car accident. Or if you need to report about someone else, like you saw another person who was involved in a car accident, or maybe you need to talk about a family member or a colleague that was in a car accident. You can use this pattern to do that. For example, my roommate was in a car accident. My roommate was in a car accident. Or if you're replying to a question about someone, like, hey, how's your coworker? Was he okay? We didn't see him yesterday. You might reply, oh, he was in a car accident. So you can use he or she or they. If you need to use they to talk about more than one person, please make sure you change was to were. They were in a car accident. So this is a pattern you can use to talk about car accidents or other vehicle accidents too. So you could change car to like boating accident or boat accident if you need to. But in, I think, most cases, perhaps we use car accident. Okay, let's continue to the next pattern. The next pattern is I'm having trouble something. I'm having trouble something. So we end this expression with another verb in the ing form. For example, I'm having trouble seeing. I'm having trouble hearing. I'm having trouble sleeping, and so on. So this means that this activity, this action, is difficult for the speaker here. I'm having trouble. We're using this progressive form to mean this is happening now. My condition, this is the condition now. I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm having trouble sleeping now in my life. So whatever action is difficult for you, you can use it at the end of this pattern in the ing verb form. For example, some more examples. I'm having trouble walking. Maybe my leg hurts. Or I'm having trouble focusing. I'm having trouble focusing. So maybe it's difficult for me to think clearly. I'm having trouble focusing. So you can use actions or you can use something relating to like your mental situation inside your mind too. So when you explain to your doctor, you can use these sorts of patterns to describe things that are difficult for you at the moment. I'm having trouble sleeping. That's a very common one. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next one is I burned my body part. I burned my body part. Here we're using the past tense burned. This is the past tense of the verb to burn. So to burn something means to make it too hot, and to injure that thing. In this case, we are injuring a part of the body with heat. So I burned my body part. Please note that in English we have a couple of different words relating to burns, especially with the skin. If you're talking about like fire, so something very hot, for example, you're cooking with fire or you're cooking with an electric stove and you touch it, we use the verb burn in that case. If, however, you're talking about sunlight, like going to the beach or going out in the sun, and your skin becomes red, we use sunburn, sunburn. And the pattern we use for that is my body part got sunburned. So my arm got sunburned, or my face got sunburned, my shoulders got sunburned. We use sunburn to talk about sunlight, burns from the sunlight. We use burn to talk about fire and heat. Another point to note is that in English we have different verbs for burn and different to express when our skin just changes color slightly. So for some people want their skin color to change a little bit in the sunlight to get darker. We call that to tan. To tan, that's the verb we use, or to get a tan. So in some languages, getting a tan is the same as getting a sunburn. But in English, we have two different verbs, to tan, or to get a tan, and to get sunburned. So sunburn is bad in English, and to get a tan can be a good thing for many people. So please keep those points in mind. But for this lesson, I want to focus on burns like from heat, from like a fire or something else very hot. I burned my body part. Some examples of this are, I burned my hand, or I burned my arm. So we use the verb burn to talk about heat source related injuries. Okay, on to the next part. The next one is my body part itches. My body part itches. Please be careful. Do not use the word scratches here. To scratch refers to this motion. To itch refers to the feeling, the sensation. Like, my arm itches. I want to scratch my arm. So scratch refers to this motion. Itching, or to itch, refers to the condition, the feeling. It itches, it itches. So please be careful. Don't confuse itch and scratch. My body part itches. My body part itches. So I want to scratch it, in other words. For example, my head itches, or this bite on my leg itches, or this rash itches. So there are a couple of new vocabulary words here. I've included this bite on my leg itches. So imagine a spider or a bug bit you. So bit is the past tense of the verb bite. So maybe it itches after, or rather the bug bite itches after the bite happens. You can describe that with this pattern. This bite on my leg itches. Or this rash itches. A rash is typically a red area of the skin. It's not a burn. It's something from maybe a bug bite, or maybe from a plant, or some other kind of allergic reaction related thing. And it's often red and it's kind of strange looking. We call that a rash, a rash. This is different from a spot. A spot tends to be something in a circular. It's shaped like a circle. It's a circular shape. A rash tends to not have a circular shape. It kind of spreads along the skin. So a rash is often very itchy, or this rash itches is a way you might express that. So please keep in mind itch and scratch are different again. So I want to scratch this part of my body, or this itches, this itches. Okay, let's move on to the last part of this lesson. The last part, these last two patterns, are to express the time period or the point at which the problem started. So the doctor will often ask, when did it start? Or when did you notice the problem? Here are a couple ways that you can explain that. First, the problem started time period, and sometimes ago. The problem started time period ago. For example, the problem started 2 weeks ago, or it started yesterday. Here you'll notice I've used it. So it means the problem, the problem. Very natural to use it. So like, my head really hurts. It started yesterday, where it refers to my head hurting. So this problem, it started yesterday, or the problem started yesterday. So we use this 2 weeks ago. In this case, we're using ago because we're talking about this time period sometime in the past. It was a long time in the past. Here you do not need to use ago. It started yesterday. So it's a specific point in time. It started yesterday. So this is a couple, or rather, yeah, these are two patterns to describe a point in time at which the problem started. If you want to be more specific, like a specific day or a specific date, you can use this pattern. The problem started on date, or the problem started day. The problem started on day. For example, the problem started on Monday, or you may hear the problem started Monday. It started on the third, where the third means the third of the month, the current month. It started on the 3rd, or it started on Monday. You can also drop on here. It started Monday. So if you want to use a specific day or a specific day of the month, you can use this pattern. These might be good for specific time periods. So these are good expressions to use to explain when an issue started. Okay, so this is a quick list of some expressions that you can use when you need to visit a doctor or a hospital or a clinic and so on. So I hope that these are helpful for you. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to practice making some example sentences with these expressions, please feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. Also, if you liked this lesson, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about expressions to use for talking about music and musicians. Let's get started. On this side of the board, I have a list of some patterns that you can use for positive opinions and just sharing your positive statements. Let's begin with talking about your favorites. So, a way to express your favorite band or your favorite musician, your favorite artist, whatever, is this pattern. Musician is my favorite. I also have are here. We use is for a single person here, like Beyonce or Lady Gaga. But if your musician or band is a plural noun, so for example, the Rolling Stones, that ends in an S here, this is a plural noun, we need to use are. So this follows the same rules of grammar as English. So yes, even though it's a musician or like it's a band name, we still need to follow the rules of grammar, the grammar rules here. So is and are, these need to match your subject. So Lady Gaga is my favorite is correct. So this is one person, one individual. The title is also one person. Here, however, the Rolling Stones are my favorite. The Rolling Stones are my favorite. So you can think of this as like the plural form. Yes, it's one group, but we say the Rolling Stones are my favorite. The Rolling Stones is my favorite band is okay, because is my favorite band. Band is at the end of that sentence. So the Rolling Stones is my favorite band. That's okay, because band there is singular. The Rolling Stones are my favorite though. So we can imagine like the members of the Rolling Stones too, if that's helpful for you. So please be careful. Make sure your subject matches your verb here. So single person, one name, is a group of people, plural form, are. Okay, so let's continue to the next pattern, which is also very simple. I like musician or band, or I love musician or band. The difference here is just your level. Like is maybe here, love is here. So I love Beyonce, or I love Lady Gaga. I love the Rolling Stones. You can use whatever you prefer here. You don't need to worry about singular or plurals with this pattern. Very simply, I like or I love plus your artist name or your band name. You can also use this pattern, like or love, with a genre, So a genre for music is a category or a type, and that means for music, it's like pop or rock music, classical music, rap, country, and so on. Those are categories of music. So you can use this pattern to explain your favorite category, your favorite genre of music. For example, I like rock, or I love pop music, or I like classical, or I like rap. So you can use like or love to talk about your favorite artists or to talk about your favorite genre. Genre is the pronunciation of this word. Okay, so let's move on then to a sample conversation talking about a musician or a band's new work. For example, have you heard musician's new song or new track? We use these two words in the same way to refer to one song or one track. One track is also okay. Single or album, these are a little bit different. A single is one song, a single song that is released alone, usually before a full album. It's like one song, like the highlight song from the album. We call that the single or a single. An album is a collection of songs, so like maybe 10 songs or 12 songs from that artist on one CD or in one release. So, have you heard musician's new song? Have you heard musician's new track? Let's use Beyoncé here, it's easy. Have you heard Beyoncé's new song? To reply to this, you can say yes or no, because this is a have you heard, meaning before this conversation, at any point in the past, do you have the experience of hearing Beyoncé's new song? So, yeah, I love it. You don't have to say, yes, I have, I love it. That's kind of unnatural. Just say, yeah, or yes, I love it. Or, yeah, I like it. Or, yeah, I really like it. Or, yeah, I've heard it so many times, maybe in the radio or in stores, or rather, sorry, on the radio or in stores when you're shopping, for example. Yeah, I've heard it so many times. If you've heard this song and you're sort of tired of it, you can use this expression, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Like, yeah, I've heard it so many times. I'm sick of it. If it's a new song like that's super popular, you might feel this way. Or, yeah, it's okay. So that's very neutral. It's like, I don't like it, but I don't hate it either. Yeah, it's okay. Or, no, I haven't. No, I haven't. Or just no as well. So have you heard Beyoncé's new song? No, I haven't, but I hear it's good. I hear it's good. So using present tense here means right now, maybe I've heard in the past from many different people it's good. So we use present tense to mean at this point in time, it's common for me to hear from many different people that this song is good. You can use I heard it's good to mean, like, for example, one report, according to one report, it was a good song. It's up to you. Both hear and heard are correct here. So you can use this for a song or for an album. Have you heard Beyoncé's new album? No, I haven't yet. I heard it's good though. So that's a very natural conversation. Have you heard Beyoncé's new album? Yeah, I love it. Or have you heard Beyoncé's new album? Yeah, it's okay. So there are many different responses you can use, and you can change these words at the end of these patterns to more accurately reflect your feelings. So yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's pretty good. Those are all perfectly natural responses. Okay, let's move on then to a pattern you can use to talk positively and excitedly about concerts. So please keep in mind in English we use the word concert. We do not say live. We do not specifically say like live performance when we're talking about a concert. I'll show one example where we do use the word live in just a moment. But to talk about going to see a concert, we use a pattern like this. I'm going to the musician concert. I'm going to the musician concert. So why do we use the here? Because this the connects to the verb concert. So there's maybe only one concert by this musician in your city. So we use the before this to mean that one concert. There's only one. So I'm going to that one that many people know about. For example, here, I'm going to the Justin Timberlake concert. So the concert, there's only one. I'm going to the Justin Timberlake concert that's happening tonight. So we use the before Justin Timberlake, yes, because the actually connects to concert here. So I'm going to the Justin Timberlake concert. Some other patterns you may hear are I'm going to see Justin Timberlake's concert is also okay. I'm going to see Justin Timberlake's concert, or just I'm going to see Justin Timberlake tonight. And we understand that it's a concert because probably we don't meet these famous people in our everyday lives for most people. So generally you'll hear a pattern like this one. Then after the concert, you can talk about the performance with something like this. Musician was amazing, or band was amazing. This is using past tense. So for example, if you go to a Justin Timberlake concert, you might say Justin Timberlake was amazing. So was amazing refers to the concert you saw, maybe last night or a few hours ago. Justin Timberlake was amazing. Please keep in mind, for a pattern like this, we need to follow the same rule I mentioned at the beginning of this lesson about this subject and verb agreement. So was, this is great for a single person like Lady Gaga or Justin Timberlake. If, however, it's a group like the Rolling Stones, again, the Rolling Stones were amazing. The Rolling Stones were amazing. So make sure if you have a plural noun, as in the Rolling Stones here, the Rolling Stones were amazing. If you want to talk generally about an artist's performances, maybe not a specific performance, but generally, you can use a pattern like this. You'll notice here I'm using present tense. For example, Justin Timberlake is amazing live. Justin Timberlake is amazing live. This is one situation where we use the word live to talk about performances, which means Justin Timberlake's live performances are amazing. This is another way we say that. Justin Timberlake is amazing live, or Lady Gaga is amazing live. We use is present tense to mean regularly her performances or his performances are always very good. So we use present tense to describe that. Lady Gaga is amazing live. So instead of just Lady Gaga is amazing, which means I really like her music, you can specifically say live to refer to those concerts, to refer to live performances. Okay. Let's move on then to a couple expressions you can use to maybe make some negative statements about music. How to talk about the things you don't like very much or that you don't listen to. For example, I don't really like or I don't really listen to. This is a bit different. So I've included really because it's sort of a softener. You can say, I don't like musician or I don't like that band. You can use that. Really softens things a little bit. It's not quite so direct. So here my verb is like. I don't really like Justin Timberlake. I don't really like Lady Gaga. That's how a native speaker would say it. Instead of I don't really like, it sounds like I don't really like. I don't really like Lady Gaga. Or I don't really like the Rolling Stones. If you want to be more specific though and say you don't really listen to that band or that musician, you can do that. So maybe they're okay, but you don't really listen to, which means you don't often listen to. Often, using often here would sound a little too polite. We tend to use really in cases like these, in casual conversations. So I don't really listen to Lady Gaga, or I don't really listen to Justin Timberlake. He seems okay, but I don't really listen to him. You can use listen to be more specific. Like maybe he's okay, maybe it's okay, but you don't listen to it very much. That's a good pattern. I don't really listen to Lady Gaga. You can also use a genre here, as we talked about earlier in this lesson, pop, rock, classical, and so on. I don't really listen to rock. I don't really listen to hip hop. You can use that as well. Here are a couple of patterns that you can think about to kind of make some more specific statements about your opinions. For example, I don't really like pop music, so I don't listen to Lady Gaga. At native speed, this would sound like, I don't really like pop music, so I don't listen to Lady Gaga. So here we're connecting these ideas with so. Idea 1, I don't really like pop music. Idea 2, I don't listen to Lady Gaga. We've connected it with so to show a relationship between these two. One more example. I don't really listen to rock, but I like the Foo Fighters. So the Foo Fighters is a rock band. But here, the speaker says, I don't really listen to rock. So maybe they want to be specific. There's this one group, this one band that's pretty good, that's okay. So at native speed, this would sound like, I don't really listen to rock, but I like the Foo Fighters. So if you want to show like kind of a contrast, you can use but to connect your ideas. I don't really listen to rock, but I like the Foo Fighters. Another thing to be careful of is this one that I've marked here. The expression I hate is quite strong, so I would not recommend using it too much in conversation unless it's like a very casual conversation and you feel comfortable being very direct with the person you're speaking to. For example, I hate country or I hate rap. These are genres. I've used a genre here. I hate country or I hate rap. That's very aggressive for some people. So please use this expression very carefully. If you're not sure, use something like this. Nah, I don't really like country or I don't really like rap. So instead of using I hate is quite strong in any situation. So please be careful about this. So these are a few expressions that you can use to talk about music and musicians that you like and dislike. I hope that it was helpful for you. Please feel free to use these and put some information in the comment section about musicians you like, genres you like and dislike too. Of course, if you have any questions or other comments, please feel free to leave those in the comment section as well. Of course, if you liked this lesson, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about expressions you can use to express nervousness and frustration. Let's get started. You'll notice with each of the expressions I'm going to talk about here, I've added an N or an F next to the expression. So the N means that expression is commonly used to express nervous feelings. So feelings of nervousness or feelings of anxiety. The F means that it's commonly used for frustration, to express when you feel that angry, frustrated feeling. So we'll look at quite a few of these. Let's begin with this one, a very basic expression for nervousness. I'm really nervous about topic. I'm really nervous about something. I have really in parentheses here because you can remove it to decrease the emphasis of this expression. So I'm nervous about something, or I'm really nervous about something. You could say I'm very nervous about, or I'm so nervous about as well. All of those are okay. For example, I'm really nervous about my job interview. At native speed, this would sound like, I'm really nervous about my job interview. So we follow I'm really nervous about with usually the noun phrase here. I'm really nervous about my job interview. So this is a basic nervousness phrase that you can use. Let's move on to the next one. We can use this one for nervousness and for frustration. The expression is, I'm losing sleep over something. So this over means about, but we don't always use I'm losing sleep about. We usually say I'm losing sleep over something. I'm losing sleep over noun phrase. So to lose sleep means to be unable to sleep. So imagine I should have 8 hours of sleep, but I'm so nervous or I'm so frustrated, I lost 2 hours of that sleep. I only slept 6 hours because I was so nervous or because I was so frustrated thinking about this thing. We use it in the progressive tense to mean this is happening in my life right now. I'm losing sleep over something. For example, I'm losing sleep over the mistake I made last week. I'm losing sleep over the mistake I made last week. So in this case, a mistake made the previous week is causing the speaker to lose sleep. At native speed, this sounds like I'm losing sleep over the mistake I made last week. So we can use this for something that is causing us so much nervousness or so much frustration that we have difficulty sleeping. Okay, let's go to the next expression. This one is commonly used to express frustration. It's something something, usually a noun phrase here, something something is or are, depending on if this is a singular or a plural noun, driving me crazy, driving me crazy. So this driving me crazy can be used in positive situations, like if there's a person you're really attracted to and you can't stop thinking about that person, you could say, wow, he or she is driving me crazy. That's kind of a more positive use. Here, though, this is used in a negative way. Also keep in mind, this is in present tense, this is or are, but you can use was or were to talk about something in the past that caused you frustration. For example, my coworker is driving me crazy. So if your coworker does something very annoying, or if your coworker always makes the same mistakes, you could say, my coworker is driving me crazy. So that kind of voice, that sort of tone, communicates your frustration. So not, my coworker is driving me crazy, but my coworker is driving me crazy. That sounds very frustrated. Another example with a plural form and past tense, those rude customers were driving me crazy. Those rude customers were driving me crazy. So this is in maybe a retail situation or a shopping situation. Some customers that were in the store a moment ago, maybe they're gone now, were bothering the speaker. Those rude customers were driving me crazy. So that's the kind of intonation you'll hear with this expression when we want to use it to express frustration. Okay, let's move along to this next one. I can't stop thinking about something. So this is something we can use for nervousness and for frustration. And again, if you want to, you can use this to talk about positive things as well. Like, I can't stop thinking about my new apartment. I'm so excited. So with this expression, your tone really matters. The sound of your voice, your body language, your facial expression, it all really is important here. I can't stop thinking about something. So for example, I can't stop thinking about the company layoffs, the company layoff. So a company layoff is a company situation wherein many people lose their jobs. So a layoff is a situation usually like budget or policy related where the company must remove some people from the company. So I can't stop thinking about the company layoffs. That's how we would say it at native speed. So again, I can't stop thinking about noun phrase. There's usually a simple noun phrase after this. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is a frustration pattern, a very common frustration pattern. I included this because we commonly use this pattern for machine-related problems. The pattern is, my machine won't verb. My machine won't verb. I've included my. Of course, you could change that to his or her or whatever. But the machine we use here is like an everyday machine we expect to function correctly. So for example, my computer won't turn on. Here, computer is my machine, my object, and turn on, so the power isn't coming on. We use won't, so this is the reduced form of will not, will not. We use this pattern to express something that's not functioning correctly. We use won't to do that. My machine won't turn on, my computer won't turn on, or my phone won't play sound. So this is a very quick, common pattern we use to talk about frustration relating to machines. Okay. On to the next couple. These two are very similar and they're used to express nervousness, a nervous feeling. So maybe some of you, maybe many people, feel sick, like your stomach feels sick when you get very, very nervous. To express that, you can say, I feel sick, or my stomach hurts. So using this in times of nervousness can help the other person understand your level of nervousness. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, I feel sick. So you can combine this with something like this. I'm really nervous about my performance. Oh, I feel sick. That's very natural. So I feel sick or my stomach hurts can help express nervous feelings. The next expression is, I'm so nervous, I'm shaking. I'm so nervous, I'm shaking. So maybe for some people, you feel very, very nervous and your body starts to tremble. So this motion is called shaking. I'm shaking. We use it in the progressive form because it's happening now. I'm so nervous, I'm shaking. Maybe before a speech or before a performance. I'm so nervous, I'm shaking. Be careful, don't forget the so. Not I'm nervous, I'm shaking, but I'm so nervous, I'm shaking. This so is showing us that it's like this degree. My nervousness level is so high, I am shaking. So this will help, again, communicate the level of your nervousness. Okay, let's go to the other side of the board. The next three expressions are all very commonly used to express nervousness. First, I don't have a good feeling about this. I don't have a good feeling about this. You can use this when you are making plans or when you're in a group of people making a decision and you don't feel comfortable. This is similar, this next one. I don't have a good feeling about this. At native speed, I don't have a good feeling about this. So this expresses maybe some uncertainty. I don't have a good feeling, singular, a good feeling about this situation. I don't have a good feeling about this. As I said, the next one is quite similar. This makes me really uncomfortable, or this makes me uncomfortable. So this makes me means this situation causes me to feel uncomfortable. This makes me really uncomfortable. This decision, I don't like it. It makes me feel really uncomfortable. So these two express kind of that level of uncertainty and a bit of nervousness. This next one is, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea. So this is more sharing your opinion, but it also communicates a little bit of nervousness too. I don't think that's a good idea. Like, you want to leave the house now? It's 2 in the morning. It's dangerous. I don't think that's a good idea. So this communicates your nervous feelings a bit. The next one is used for frustration and for nervousness, and this is very casual. The next expressions are very casual. It is, I am so not into this. I am so not into this. So maybe you know the expression, I am into something. Like, I'm into my hobby. Like, I'm into photography, or I'm into surfing. I am so not into this. I'm so not into this. Shows you are not interested in this situation. You are not interested in what is happening now. So this is a very casual expression. So is often extended, like I just said, I'm so not into this. So maybe, again, you're in a group situation and you disagree with the decision made by the group. Like the group says, we're going to steal something from a store. You could say, I am so not into this, like I'm leaving. So this is very casual. And we would use this in situations where we want to express nervousness primarily first, but frustration as well. Like if you are, again, having computer trouble, for example, and you want to express in a kind of casual and light way your frustration, you're like frustrated with your computer, my computer won't turn on, I'm so not into this. You might hear that used as well. So it expresses frustration in kind of a casual, light way. So this next one actually is kind of similar. I am so over this. I am so over this. This is more commonly used for frustration. So I'm so not into this means I don't like this. I'm not interested in this. I'm so over this. Over means I've moved past this. I am ready to be finished with this situation. I don't want to think about it anymore. So if you imagine like a game over, for example, the expression game over, when the game is over, it's finished, right? So here, I am so over this. That means I'm ready to be finished with this situation. I'm done, I'm walking away, I'm going to the next thing. So my computer won't turn on, or there's some other problem. I could say, I'm so over this, and walk away. You might also hear this at the end of an argument as well. So when someone is frustrated in speaking to someone in an argument, you might say, I'm so over this, like I'm done, I'm finished with this conversation. Okay, the next expression is very, very casual. You can use it for frustration or for nervousness. It is, oh man, or oh man, you might also hear. So this can be used to express both feelings. So when you're very frustrated, again with the machine, you could say, oh man, my computer won't turn on. That helps to show that it's kind of a more casual frustration, not so serious. If you're feeling very nervous, like before a performance, you might look out like from behind the curtain and say like, oh man, there are a lot of people here. So you might hear this expression too. We don't use woman here. It's just, oh man, kind of a set phrase. Oh man. The final example I have here for frustration and for nervousness. I have a bunch of symbols here. This is how we commonly represent curse words or swear words. So if we don't want to write the actual word, we'll use a series of symbols. The order does not matter here. I've just chosen symbols at random. So I'm not going to introduce them on this channel, but curse words and swear words are very commonly used to express frustration and sometimes nervousness. So it will take a little bit of personal research to find some curse words and swear words that you maybe can use, but please be careful. They are very casual, very rough, and we should not use them in formal, polite business situations. In general, we don't use curse words much in public either. So we can use them very naturally for frustration. Again, especially in like machine or technical related problems, we might use a curse word quickly at our home to express our frustration. And for nervousness, we might as well use it. But in less of a strong voice, we might use kind of a scared voice or a nervous voice. So please keep in mind with all of these, your intonation does matter. Okay, so this is a list of expressions that you can use to communicate your nervous and frustrated feelings. I hope that this is helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want to practice making a phrase, please feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. Of course, if you liked this lesson, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about ways to report the things that you saw and that you heard. I'm going to talk about a basic pattern and then introduce a more advanced pattern. Let's get started. First, I want to begin this lesson with a verb review. There are 4 key verbs I'm going to use in this lesson. The first pair is this one, to see and to watch. So what's the difference between to see and to watch? Generally, when we use to see, it just means information enters our eyes. So for example, I see the camera or I see the marker. Just the information goes into my eye. Watch, however, has this meaning of focusing our attention on something. So when we focus our attention on something, it's usually because it's moving. For example, when we watch a movie, or maybe we watch an animal in the forest, we focus our eyes on something. So to review, to see is just information comes into our eyes. To watch is to focus our attention. So for example, you are watching this video right now. This pair then is very similar to hear and to listen. This follows the same pattern. When we hear something, information enters our ears. We just hear it. So maybe I can hear an air conditioner, or I can hear someone outside. To hear is just information entering the ears. When we listen, however, or listen to something, we are focusing our attention. We are trying to use our ears to gain information somehow. So again, we are focusing our attention on something. So hear is just information entering the ear. Listen is used to talk about focusing on trying to use our ears to gain information. So please keep this in mind for this lesson. Let's look now at a basic pattern for reporting something. For this lesson, I'm going to focus on using I as the subject. So this is for when you want to share something that you saw or that you heard. So the basic pattern here is I plus the past tense form of the verb plus a simple noun. So this is our direct object. Remember, the direct object is the thing upon which the verb is acting. So this is like receiving the activity happening here. This is receiving the action in this verb. So I saw a noun, I watched a noun, I heard a noun, or I listened to a noun. Please be careful, don't forget this to here. I listened to something. And also I listened. Sometimes people forget to make this past tense. I listened to something. Let's look at some examples. First, I saw my mom, or I saw a cat. It's a very simple expression. Again, just communicating this information entered our eye. I saw my mom, I saw a cat. These sentences use watch. I watched a movie. I watched a basketball game. So these sentences show the speaker was focusing their attention on a movie and a basketball game. I watched a movie, I watched a basketball game. Here I've used heard. The pronunciation is heard, not heard, heard. I heard the news and I heard a loud noise. So I heard the news, so from TV or radio maybe, and I heard a loud noise somewhere. I don't know what it was, but a loud noise, that information came to my ear. I heard a loud noise. Finally, listened to. I listened to a podcast and I listened to the presentation. So again, we are focusing our ears on something. So I listened to a podcast. I wanted to focus my attention on the podcast. I listened to the presentation. I focused my attention on the presentation. Focused my ears and probably my eyes too, maybe. Okay, so these are basic patterns, basic reporting patterns. In this lesson, I want to introduce a more advanced pattern. So this is an advanced pattern that you can use to describe the specific details of something. So the verbs will remain the same. We're not going to change the verbs at all. What we are going to change is the part after the verb. Here, we're going to use something called a subordinate clause. So a subordinate clause is a big word. It just means a part of a sentence that cannot be alone. It must have another part of a sentence in order to be a full idea. So it needs something else. It's like a mini sentence or a part of a sentence. We need some other information to finish this idea. So we're going to use this part of an idea, this subordinate clause, as our direct object. So again, this direct object is what we talked about up here, the thing that's receiving the action. So let's take a look at some examples of what I mean here and the special grammar rules that we use in these cases. Let's begin here. I saw a man walk into the office. I saw a man walk into the office. So here we're seeing this I saw is in past tense again, and a man, so this is just a simple noun, but we see all of this extra information, and a key point for this pattern is this right here. This verb remains in the present tense or in the infinitive form. There is no change to this verb. This part is a past action, yes. We're using saw here, which tells the listener or tells the reader that this action is finished, this is done. But we do not change this verb here. I saw a man walk into the office. So this action is done, but in this report of this, we do not change this verb. I saw a man walked is not correct. We cannot use that. I saw a man walk into the office. That is an action that happened. I saw it. I used this expression to report it. Let's compare this then to the other type of reporting expression we can use. A new example sentence. I saw a woman jogging in my neighborhood. I saw a woman jogging in my neighborhood. Again, we use simple past tense here to make the report. This information entered my eyes. A woman, yes, we have a simple noun here. And this is the information that tells us the specifics. What was the woman doing? Here, however, I've used this continuous or progressive form, jogging in my neighborhood. I saw a woman jogging in my neighborhood. So I've talked about up here using this form, the infinitive form or present tense form. If, however, you want to emphasize that an action was continuing at that time, you can use the progressive form here. So in this sentence, the speaker mentions that at this point in time, maybe this morning, I saw a woman jogging in my neighborhood. At that time, The woman was jogging. It was happening at that moment. So I saw a woman jog in my neighborhood. Sounds like maybe the action is finished, it's done. But if the speaker wants to emphasize a continuing action, they can with this progressive form. So please keep this in mind. We can use progressive form to emphasize continuous actions, but in other cases we use just the simple infinitive or present form. Let's look at another example. I watched my cat jump off the roof. I watched my cat jump off the roof. So here the verb watch is showing that the speaker focused his or her attention on the cat as the cat jumped off the roof. So again, you'll notice I watched my cat jump. There is no change to this verb. Jump off the roof. This part does not have any changes. There is no conjugation happening there. I watched my cat jump off the roof. Another example, I watched a car roll into traffic. I watched a car roll into traffic. So this means the speaker focused their attention on a car as the car slowly rolled into other cars, traffic. So I watched a car roll into traffic. Again, please keep in mind the difference between saw and watched and how these can make these sentences sound a little different. For example, if you say, I watched a woman jogging in my neighborhood, it sounds like you focused your attention on the woman jogging, which can sound a little strange sometimes. If you saw a woman jogging in your neighborhood, that sounds quite normal. But in some cases, if you say, I watched someone doing something, it sounds like you're focused on them, which can sound a little scary sometimes. So please be careful when you're using saw and watched in these cases. Okay, let's continue to the next group. Let's look at heard now. I heard my friend trying to negotiate a discount. I heard my friend trying to negotiate a discount. So again, negotiate a discount means get a lower price, trying to get a lower price. So I heard my friend, here again, the progressive form, trying to negotiate a discount. So maybe you're shopping at a market somewhere, the speaker can hear their friend somewhere else asking for a lower price or trying to negotiate. So maybe it's successful, maybe it's not. But at that point in time, a negotiation was happening. So I heard my friend trying to negotiate a discount. Another example, I heard my dog whining in the living room. I heard my dog whining in the living room. So maybe I'm in my bedroom, but my dog is in the other room. I can hear something. It's the sound of my dog whining. So to whine is like crying, but usually used for pets or for little kids or for people who are complaining a lot, to whine. So I heard my dog whining. This was happening at that point in time. My dog was whining. Let's look at the last examples. I listened to my teacher talk about grammar. I listened to my teacher talk about grammar. So listened to is perhaps one that you won't use so much with specific details. Maybe you'll use listen to more with a basic pattern. But these are some examples of cases where you might. So I listened to my teacher talk about grammar. So as I said before, you can use that basic form, this infinitive form, or the progressive form, like I listened to my teacher talking about grammar. That's fine too. So maybe after you watch this video, after you have finished watching this video, you could say to your friend, oh, today I listened to my teacher talk about grammar. And that would be natural because it's finished. You finished watching this lesson. If, however, you want to emphasize for some reason that I'm talking and something else is happening, you could use the progressive form. Like I listened to my teacher talking about grammar and I got bored or I thought it was interesting. So you could use something like that to show that an action is happening at the same time too. Okay, finally, I listened to a customer complain about a problem. I listened to a customer complain about a problem. So here, again, the action is probably finished. I listened to a customer complain today. So this is something that happened to me. So please keep this in mind. It's kind of a strange grammar point, but we use these style verbs when we're talking about the specific details of something we saw or heard in the past. Of course, this is for reporting things. There are other situations where you may want to report other information, like maybe something you ate, for example, or a place that you visited. So please keep this in mind when you're reporting these kinds of things about the past. So I hope that this lesson was helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want to practice making some sentences with this stuff, feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. Also, if you liked this lesson, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Can I see the menu? When you first arrive at the restaurant and you sit down at the table or at your seat and there's no menu nearby, you can say to the waitstaff, "Can I see the menu?" Or "Can I have a menu?" Which means, "I want a menu. Give it to me, please." Remember, just use this phrase if there's no menu near you or if you don't see one. Next is, can we pay separately? Can we pay separately? This is a request to the staff at the restaurant to pay for your food separate from another person. So if you go with someone else or if you go with a group of people and each person wants to pay for the things they ate, you can use this question. Can we pay separately? In some cases, it might be a good idea to make this request before you order so that the staff can prepare. Can we pay separately? This is a good one to know. Okay, next expression. Do you have any vegetarian dishes? Do you have any vegetarian dishes? So if you are a vegetarian or if someone in your group is a vegetarian, you can ask the staff about their vegetarian dishes, which means the food that they have available that is vegetarian. If you're vegan, you can substitute that for vegetarian in this question. Like, do you have any vegan dishes? You can use whatever type of dietary restriction you have in this question. Okay, next is, what do you recommend? What do you recommend? So if you come to a restaurant and it's the first time there maybe, and you can't decide or you're feeling very open, you can ask the staff for a recommendation. You can say, what do you recommend? Or what's your recommendation? The staff might not have a good idea, so they might ask you some follow-up questions, like what do you usually like to eat? Or what are you in the mood for? Or is there anything that you don't like? So be prepared to answer a couple follow-up questions after this. But if you can't choose, you can say, what do you recommend? Okay, next is, does it contain meat? Does it contain meat? If you want to ask if a dish has meat in it, you can ask this question, does it contain meat? Or you might also hear someone say, is there meat in this? Or is there meat in that? So if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, or maybe you have some other kind of dietary restriction, you might want to remember this question. Does this contain meat? Okay, next is, I will have this one, please. I'll have this one, please. When you make your decision at the restaurant and you want to point to something on the menu, you can say, I'll have this one, please. Or if it's clear that it's just one option on the menu, you don't need to use one in this expression. I'll have this, please, is also fine. You can also use this if you're not pointing at a menu, if you're pointing at a selection, like maybe an ice cream store. You can say, I'll have this one, please, to be very specific, this one type of ice cream. So it's up to you to point and make it very clear which thing you're talking about. Okay, next expression. How spicy is it? How spicy is it? This is a really good expression to know if you know that you can't handle spicy food. So that means if spicy food makes you feel really sick or if spicy food makes you feel really hot, you should probably know this question. How spicy is it? Or you could say, how hot is it as well? So someone might say it's really, really hot or it's not so bad, it's pretty mild. They'll give you some kind of rating to respond to this question. But if you have a hard time with spicy food, you should probably remember this. How spicy is it? Okay, next is, do you serve any cold dishes? Do you serve any cold dishes? So maybe you go to some place like a grill or perhaps some kind of burger shop, something like that, where hot dishes are the focus. But if you're in the mood for something cool or cold, you can ask this question. Do you have any cold dishes? Maybe like a salad, for example? You can ask this to the staff to see if there's anything else they can prepare. Okay, next is there any dish we could share? Is there any dish we could share? If you go to a restaurant with a group of people, or maybe just with one other person, and you want to ask about a dish that's easy to share, you can ask this question. You can ask, is there any dish we could share? Or can we share this dish? You can make it clear to the staff there that you plan to share something, so they don't just bring one plate. They might bring an extra plate to make sure everybody at the table can have some of what you order. Okay, next is, what starters do you recommend? What starters do you recommend? Okay, starter is another word for appetizer, those small kind of snacks that you have before the main meal. So when you arrive at the restaurant and you're thinking of what kind of things you might want to have a bite of before the main course, you can ask for a recommendation with this expression. What starters do you recommend? Of course, you can also say, what appetizers do you recommend? Or what appetizers are good? You can use either word. Starter sounds a little bit more casual, perhaps, in some cases, but both words are fine to use. Okay, let's go to the next one. Can we have a bottle of wine with the meal? Can we have a bottle of wine with the meal? So if you go to a restaurant and you want to order a bottle of wine to go with your dinner, you can ask this question. Can we order a bottle of wine to go with the meal? Another really common way to do this is just to ask for the wine list. If you want to order a glass of wine, you can do this. Or if you want to order a bottle of wine, you can do this. You can just ask the staff person, can I see the wine list, please? Or can I have the wine list, please? If there's one available, they will bring it to you and you can choose a glass or a bottle to go along with your meal. Okay, next is, can I have a glass of water, please? Can I have a glass of water, please? Okay, so depending on the country and depending on the restaurant that you go to, staff might not automatically provide water at the restaurant you visit. If you need to ask the staff for water, you can say, can I have a glass of water, please? Or you might just say, can I have some water, please? Or just water, please. Something simple like that is the best way to ask for water at your table. Okay, next expression. Can I get one more serving, please? Can I get one more serving, please? So this is a very polite way to say, one more of this, please. If you have one dish and you ate it at your table and you want another one, you can say, can I have one more serving of this if you want to be really polite? I would probably say something like, can I have another one of these? Or can we have one more of these? Or you could even name the dish, like, could we have one more of this appetizer? You can ask for one more or one more serving when you want another one of something you've already ordered. What's the special for today? What's the special for today? Some restaurants might have what's called a special. That means it's one dish or maybe a couple of dishes on the menu that are not part of the regular menu. So the restaurant has prepared some new special dish with some ingredients they have in the kitchen that day. So if you want to ask about this dish, you can say, what's the special today? Keep in mind, not all restaurants have specials. Usually the waiter or waitress will let you know about the special when you arrive, but if you want to check, you can say, what's the special for today? Or do you have a special? Okay, next expression. Do you have any desserts? Do you have any desserts? So when you get to the end of your meal, if you want to ask about dessert options at the restaurant, you can say, do you have any desserts? Or you could also ask, do you have a dessert menu? Or you can ask something like, what sounds good for dessert to the person that you're at the restaurant with? There are lots of kind of sneaky ways to ask about desserts at the end of the meal, but this is a good, polite question to know. Okay, next expression. Could I see the wine list, please? Could I see the wine list, please? Okay, I talked about this a little bit earlier. If you want to have wine with your meal, you can ask for the wine list. So depending on the restaurant that you go to, the wine list might be very short or it might be a whole book of wines. If you want to check out all of the information they have available, you should request the wine list. Can I have the wine list, please? Okay, next is, what is the soup of the day? What's the soup of the day? This question refers to a soup that is available on that day. So that means it might not be part of the restaurant's regular menu. Maybe they have a seasonal soup or a kind of special soup, and you want to ask about that. You can say, what's the soup of the day? Or even just, what's the soup today? Both are fine. Okay, next expression. I'm on a diet. I'm on a diet. So this is maybe an expression you wouldn't say to the staff at the restaurant. You might say this to the person that you're having a dinner with or having lunch with. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about your food choice for the day. You might say, I'm on a diet. I'm going to eat something healthy. Or you might say this to the staff if you are looking for a healthy recommendation. You might say something like, I'm on a diet. I don't want to eat a lot of bread, so can you recommend something for me? In those cases, you might need to use this expression. I'm on a diet. Okay, next is, what does this dish contain? What does this dish contain? This is a very polite way of saying, what is in this dish? Or what are the ingredients in this dish? Generally, in casual situations, we just say, what's in this? Or what's in this dish? If you want to sound more polite, you can use this question. What does this dish contain? This could be really important if you have an allergy or some other kind of food reaction that the staff needs to know about. You can say, what does this dish contain? To make sure everything is clear before you order. Okay, next expression. I am allergic to nuts. I'm allergic to nuts. Okay, a very important question pattern if you have a food allergy. You can replace nuts for any other food in this sentence. I'm allergic to bread, for example, or I'm allergic to something something. Whatever food you're allergic to, whichever food causes an allergic reaction, you can use this expression to describe that. Another very common one is shellfish. I'm allergic to shellfish. So make sure to tell the staff before you order so that they can make sure that they don't give you anything that might contain that ingredient. Rest. To rest refers to giving your body a chance to re-energize, to recover. So you can use rest to talk about the time when you are sleeping, of course, and regaining your energy. You can also use it to talk about times when you're relaxing or just enjoying your day, enjoying your hobbies. The idea with resting is that you're not doing something that takes a lot of energy. For example, the gorilla is resting in the grass. So in this sentence, the subject of the sentence, the gorilla, is just enjoying his or her time in the grass, not doing anything that uses a lot of energy. So you can use this to talk about times when you are just relaxing, like, oh, I'm just resting today. Okay, the next word is dream. Dream. To dream means to imagine something. We use dream when we talk about the images that we see in our brain at night when we're sleeping. You can talk about those things with the verb dream, like, last night I dreamed that I could fly. You might also hear people saying, last night I dreamt that I could fly. You might hear a couple of different ways of expressing that in past tense. But when you want to talk about those things that you see in your sleep at night, you can use this verb. I dreamed or I dreamt something. The next word is cook. Cook. Cook is a very common verb, of course. We use cook when we want to talk about making food. The difference between cook and mix, for example, is that with cook, we use heat. We're using some kind of heat or temperature change to prepare food. When we use a word like mix or blend, we're talking about combining ingredients together. So you can use cook to talk about preparing food with heat in your kitchen. For example, the chef cooked in the kitchen. Okay, next is use a computer. Use a computer. You can use this phrase anytime you sit down at your computer and start to work or start to study or just want to explore something on the internet. We use the computer to talk about anything that involves the computer, anything related to the computer. For example, I use the computer to talk to my friends. Okay, the next word is return. Return. To return means to come back to a place you were at before. You might hear return, come back, and go back used. They all refer to going to a place you were at originally and then coming back to that place after going somewhere else. For example, the father returned home in the evening. You might also hear the father came back home in the evening, or even just the father came home in the evening. You can use return to mean to go back to an original location. Okay, next is do housework. Do housework. So housework refers to all those small jobs in your house, like cleaning the dishes, washing the dishes, or doing laundry, washing your clothes, cleaning your room, and so on. So all of that is called housework. When you want to talk about that, you can say do housework. For example, my sister needs to do a little housework. Next is bathe. Bathe. So bathe is a verb. It means to clean your body. So you can use this to talk about taking a shower or taking a bath. Please note, bathe and bath have separate pronunciations. The pronunciations are different. We can't say take a bathe, for example. It's incorrect. But you can say, for example, the brothers bathed in the bathtub. This means the brothers cleaned their bodies in the bathtub. So when you want to talk about cleaning your body, you can use this word, or you can say, I took a shower or took a bath. Okay, next is read the paper. Read the paper. So read the paper refers to reading a physical newspaper. So you could say read the newspaper if you wanted to. So to read the paper means to read the news for the day. You might also read the paper on the internet these days too. But if you see someone reading a physical newspaper, you could say the man is reading a newspaper. Okay, next is sleep. Sleep. We use the verb sleep when we want to talk about resting for a long time at the end of the day. So we often use this with other verbs. For example, I'm going to go to sleep, or he went to sleep, and so on. For example, you could say, you should sleep at least 8 hours every night. This refers to getting enough rest each day. Okay, the next expression is wake up. Wake up. So wake up refers to opening your eyes in the morning after you sleep. So wake up is different from get up in that wake up means your brain becomes awake, your eyes open. When you get up, you leave your bed or the place where you sleep. For example, I wake up every morning at 6 o'clock. Next is go out. Go out. You can use go out in a lot of different situations. Generally, go out means to leave your house, to go out of your house and go somewhere. So you can use go out to mean to go to work. You could use it to mean to go to school or to do something related to your hobbies, to go shopping, whatever. For example, I plan to go out in the afternoon today. Next is eat. Eat. So eat is, of course, a very important verb. Eat means to consume food, to put food into your body and use it to make energy for your body. For example, the children are eating watermelon. We use this for all meals, for breakfast, lunch, dinner, for snacks, whatever. Anything solid, we can use eat to describe that when we put it into our bodies. Next is shopping. Shopping. So we use shopping typically with a verb like go, like I'm going to go shopping. Shopping refers to buying things that you need for your home, or maybe just buying things that you want. You could say, I went shopping with a friend yesterday. That kind of expression sounds like you did something just for fun. You could also say, I'm going shopping for groceries. Do you need anything? So shopping refers to buying things. Okay, next is shower. Shower.
Earlier, we talked about the verb bathe, which means to clean your body. To shower refers to bathing, yes, but specifically to standing up in the bathtub or in another cleaning area of your home and letting the water come over the top of your head. For example, the man showered in the morning. Again, this is different from taking a bath where you clean your body as you sit in some water. Okay, next is work. Work. To work means to do something in exchange for money. So many people go to an office and do an office job in exchange for money. Maybe other people provide services or other people sell things in exchange for money. There are lots of different jobs and many different types of work. We can use this as a noun or a verb. For example, some programmers work from home, so they don't have to commute to work.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Monthly Review, the monthly show on language learning, where you discover new learning strategies, motivational tips, study tools, and resources. By the way, all the lessons and bonuses you're about to see can be downloaded for free on our website. So click the link in the description right now to sign up for your free lifetime account. Okay, today's topic is how to learn a language in 2022. If you're planning to learn a language in 2022, then this episode is for you, especially if you want to finally succeed with your New Year's resolution, instead of failing or giving up in the next week or two. That's why today you'll discover 1. The 4 critical steps you need to take when learning a new language, and 2. How to set goals and New Year's resolutions that won't fail you in 2022. But first, if you're looking for some free language resources and downloads, here are this month's new lessons and resources. Be sure to download these now before we take them down in a few days. First, the Going to the Mountains Conversation Cheat Sheet. Learn all the must-know words and phrases for hiking and camping with this new cheat sheet. Second, the Most Common Adjectives PDF ebook. Master over 90 common adjectives with this bonus PDF picture ebook. You can download and review it on any device. Third, what's your New Year's resolution? With this bonus phrase list, you'll learn to say common goals like read more, save money, and learn a language. Fourth, the Winter Words and Phrases Writing Workbook. You'll learn over 60 words and phrases for the winter and holiday season and practice writing them with this printable PDF writing workbook. Download it for free right now. Fifth, must-know email words and phrases. Learn how to say email, reply, spam, and much more with this quick 1-minute lesson. To get your free resources, click the link in the description below right now. They're yours to keep forever. Okay, let's jump into today's topic. How to learn a language in 2022. Part 1. The 4 critical steps you need to take when learning a new language. Every time you start a new language, you should start with 1. Goals, 2. Anchor points, 3. Grammar, 4. Reading. What are these 4 steps, and why do you need them to succeed with language learning? Let's jump in. The first one is goals. Everything starts with a goal, but your goal itself can also lead you to failure if you don't set it the right way. So more specifically, you need to set small, measurable monthly goals instead of just, I want to learn a language and be fluent this year. We'll cover goals in the second part of this episode, so stay tuned. After goals, the second step is setting anchor points. What are anchor points? Imagine a small ship in the middle of a big lake. It's windy, lots of waves, and the ship is bobbing up and down, drifting all around. What would you use to stop the ship from drifting away? An anchor. And just like an anchor keeps the ship in place, anchor points keep you from drifting away from your language. So an anchor point is a connection to the language that keeps you attached to the language and motivated to learn the language. One great example is language school. Imagine you signed up and paid thousands of dollars up front. Paying that much would motivate you to make the most of your time there. It's also a big commitment, one that you can't easily back out of. And school dictates your schedule. You have to wake up early, you have to do homework. Your life revolves around the classes. And as such, language school and the language itself become anchor points that your life revolves around. Anchor points can also be family or a partner that speaks the language you're learning. You're around them, you're exposed to the language, so your motivation to learn gets a bit stronger. Buying a language learning program or textbook are also examples of good anchor points. You invested your hard-earned money, which means you're serious about learning. Plus, you want to make sure your investment doesn't go to waste, so you're more motivated. If you're wondering if you have any anchor points, you already have at least one. You're watching our lessons on YouTube. But the more anchor points you have, the stronger your motivation will be. So if you're into music or TV shows in your target language, those can serve as anchor points too. These are things that connect you to the language and add a bit of motivation to learn more, or at the very least, understand what you're watching or listening to. We covered goals and anchor points. What's next? The third step is you must have a good grasp of grammar of your native language. Now, you might wonder, if you're learning a new language, why focus on your native language? Well, as native speakers, the problem is we know what good grammar sounds like, but we can't explain how or why our language works the way it works. So if you don't have a good grasp of grammar, the backbone or the rules of a language, then you'll have a tough time learning a new language. You'll jump in and start learning words and phrases, but you'll never learn how to put them together and make sentences. That's a common problem beginners have. Now, if you already know the grammar of your native language, how do you apply that to your target language? For example, if you're an English speaker, and if you know that English sentences follow the subject, verb, object pattern, and if you know that languages have specific sentence patterns, then you'd go look at patterns. Then, you'd have a good idea of how to create your own sentences, instead of learning random words first. Finally, the fourth step is reading. Reading is good simply because you can do it anywhere, anytime, and without a teacher. It's a skill you can get started on day one, on your own. Reading also tends to spill over into other areas. The more you read, the more words and grammar rules you come across, so you boost your vocabulary and grammar, which can seep into speaking and listening. If you read out loud, you're practicing two skills at once. Now, we've covered what you need: goals, anchor points, reading, and grammar. Setting anchor points, knowing your own grammar, and reading are simple enough, but how do you set goals that don't lead you to failure? Part 2. How to set goals and New Year's resolutions that won't fail you in 2022. The goal that you set can make or break your language learning journey, so setting the right goals makes all the difference between success and failure. Just think about all of the common New Year's resolutions. What comes to mind? Goals like, I want to be fluent someday. I want to speak the language. I want to lose weight. I want to save more money. These big, vague goals often lead to failure because you simply have no idea how to approach the goal and you don't know what you're aiming for. Instead, your goals should be small, measurable, and monthly. For example, speak 1 minute of conversation by the end of the month. Learn 100 words by the end of the month. Finish Chapter 1 of your language textbook by the end of the month. If you're using our program, finish 20 audio lessons by the end of the month. All of these are small and specific. 1 minute, 100 words, 1 chapter, 20 audio lessons. This means that they're easy to reach, unlike something vague like fluency. They're also measurable. You know when you reach 1 minute. You can check if you know all 100 words or if you finished all 20 lessons. If you aim for fluency, you won't know when you hit it. It's too vague and too big of a goal, and it may take years to hit. Finally, all of these goals have a deadline, the end of the month. That would mean January 31st of this year. Deadlines give you a clear date to aim for, and without one, you'll forever be floating around without much progress. So set a deadline for the end of every month. So now that you know how to set small, measurable monthly goals, leave us a comment. What's your small, measurable monthly goal, and what's the deadline? So thank you for watching this episode of Monthly Review. Next time, we'll talk about how to learn a language in pairs. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. And if you're ready to finally learn language the fast, fun, and easy way and start speaking from your very first lesson, get our complete learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Click the link in the description. See you next time. Bye! Want to learn your target language fast and understand native conversations, even if you're a beginner? In this Learning Strategies video, you'll learn all about the line-by-line dialogue, a powerful study tool that 1. Makes understanding conversations a breeze for beginners, and 2. improves your speaking, listening, reading, and even writing skills. But first, if you don't yet have access to this tool and our lessons, just click the link down in the description and sign up for your free lifetime account right now. 1. What is the line-by-line dialogue exactly? The line-by-line dialogue is a study tool that makes absorbing conversations easier, and you'll find it in all of our audio lessons inside of our learning program. It breaks down the conversations you learn in our lessons into individual lines so that you don't get overwhelmed. For each line, you get the text in the target language, the translations, and audio pronunciation, so you can listen to each line, read along, and understand every single word. And you can also use the line-by-line dialogue to perfect your speaking, reading, listening, and writing skills. How? Take a look. 2. How to improve your speaking skills. The easiest way to start speaking on your own is to shadow what you hear, meaning repeat what you hear as you play each line. Just press the audio icon next to each line to hear it and shadow along. Next, if you want to perfect your pronunciation, click on the microphone icon to start recording. Then record and compare your pronunciation with the native speakers. These tactics get you speaking in minutes, and if you apply these to every lesson, you'll be speaking a lot more of your target language. Next, here's how you master listening. Since the line-by-line dialogue is a line-by-line breakdown of the conversation, you can listen to each line separately, as much as you want. Click on the audio icon to listen again and again and review the script. Read along so that you can pick apart every word. That way, you can understand those fast, native-level conversations and never miss a word. 4. Here's how you can practice reading. As you listen to the conversation, read along line by line. And if you don't know a word, click on the translations. They're right there in the line-by-line dialogue. You can even read with the Romanized script to help you sound out the words. And finally, here's how you can practice writing. Now, this advice is not something you'll hear very often because it's so simple. It's so simple that most people don't even think of doing it. Here it is. Just grab a pen and copy the lesson dialogue down into a notebook. The big benefit here is there's no writer's block. You don't have to worry about what to write. It's all there for you. So, if you want to learn your target language faster, understand native-level conversations, and improve your speaking, listening, reading, and writing skills, then get free access to the line-by-line dialogue. Sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to sign up. You want to understand real-life conversations in your target language, right? Well, what if you could immerse yourself in conversations and listen to them as much as you want, like you would music, and start understanding and speaking more of your target language? Well, you can do all of this with the dialogue track. And in this video, you'll discover how the dialogue track, 1, immerses you in the language, 2, helps you memorize conversations easily, and 3, gets you speaking more. But if you don't have access to our lessons and the dialogue track, then sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description. First, what is the dialogue track? The dialogue track is a quick 10 to 30 second audio track with just the conversation of the lesson. Let's say you're doing a 5-minute lesson about ordering food at a restaurant. First, you hear a conversation. Then our teachers explain every grammar rule and translate every word. And by the end, you know what it all means. Now, if you want to re-listen to that conversation without retaking the whole lesson, that's where the dialogue track comes in. It gives you just the conversation without any translations, so you can re-listen to the conversation or download to review at a later time. Second, here's what makes the dialogue track so powerful. First, you remember the conversations easier. Just listen on repeat, like you would with a song, and the words, phrases, and grammar rules will stick better. And the more you come back to re-listen, the better it will all stick. Second, you improve your listening skills and can immerse yourself in the language. Imagine you've finished 20 lessons, and you downloaded 20 dialogue tracks to your phone. That's 20 conversations. Create a playlist and play those 20 tracks as you're going about your day. You'll immerse yourself in the language and quickly improve your listening skills. Third, you start to speak more of your target language. So if you have 10, 20, or 100 dialogue tracks like that, then you have 10, 20, or 100 conversations that you'll know inside out and that you can use in real life. And as a result, you end up speaking more of your target language. So, if you want to start understanding conversations, take advantage of the dialogue tracks, which are available inside every one of our audio lessons. But if you don't yet have access, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to sign up. Access your free language gifts right now, before they expire. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the Going to the Mountains Conversation Cheat Sheet. You'll learn all the must-know words and phrases for hiking and camping with this new cheat sheet. Download it for free right now. Second, the Most Common Adjectives PDF ebook. You'll master over 90 common adjectives with this bonus PDF picture ebook. You can download and review it on any device. Third, what's your New Year's resolution? With this bonus phrase list, you'll learn to say common goals like read more, save money, and learn a language. Fourth, the Winter Words and Phrases Writing Workbook. You'll learn over 60 words and phrases for the winter and holiday season, and practice writing them with this printable PDF writing workbook. Download it for free right now. Fifth, must-know email words and phrases. Learn how to say email, reply, spam, and much more with this quick 1-minute lesson. Sixth, looking for a new language learning app? With the Innovative 101 app, you'll learn language fast and start speaking in minutes because the audio and video lessons are just 3 to 15 minutes long. Learning is that easy. Download Innovative 101 for free for the Android, iPhone, and iPad. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to finally master the language with lessons by real teachers and our complete language learning program, get 55% off 24-month premium with our extended holiday deal. To get your gifts and language learning resources, click the link in the description below. Download them right now before they expire. Great work! Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.